Hi, I'm Greg Hunter. This is the weekly news wrap-up for Friday, December 6th, 2013. Once again, the trouble in the East China Sea between China and Japan over the Senkaku Islands is the top story because it has a profound, or could have a profound effect on U.S. debt and interest rates. And it's such a big deal that the Obama administration sent Biden to both Japan and then China to talk about this newly created, air defense zone. And this air defense zone is in the East China Sea. It basically covers the Senkaku Islands. It's 600 miles long. China claims these islands for themselves. Japan claims these islands as their islands. What this is at its root is a fight over natural resources. It's been reported that there are deposits of both natural gas and oil in and around the waters of the Senkaku Islands. That there are natural deposits there under the water, and that this is a huge fight over natural resources. Our Defense Secretary, Chuck Hagel, said that the U.S. would side with Japan. We have treaties with Japan. And in those treaties, Japan can't declare war, but Japan is wanting to change these treaties so they can declare war. This is a sticky situation. China is saying, no, we're going to keep our air defense zone over these islands. These are our islands. And I think the Obama administration was asking the Chinese to back off on that, but now it looks like the Obama administration has backed off and said, well, temporarily you can keep your air defense zone. And even though the U.S. has tested this zone by flying B-52 bombers in, China has, scrambled its fighters into the area. Japan has also flown airplanes into the area, and this is a very sticky wicket. And the reason why it is because China is the #1 holder of U.S. debt, foreign holder of U.S. debt. Hey, Japan is #2. We're talking trillions of dollars. If the U.S. sides with Japan, China could basically punish the U.S. by selling massive amounts of this treasury debt. It would crash our markets. Likewise, if the U.S. sides with China and against Japan, which it already hasn't, but if they do side with China, and this stands, Japan could say, hey, what are we doing holding all this treasury debt? Japan could sell this debt. It just sounds like a lose-lose situation to me. And it is not anywhere near settled at all in the Senkaku Islands in the East China Sea. This is something that you need to watch out for. It could have profound geopolitical effects and profound effects on the U.S. economy. Either one of these countries, the #2 or the #1 holder of our debt, selling this debt on the open market could crash the U.S. economy and cause interest rates to skype, and bye-bye fake housing recovery. Then for sure it would be in the tank. Next up, another war zone, and that is, and the latest thing is the UN has found basically atrocities, new atrocities, and they are claiming the Assad regime has caused new atrocities in Syria in this bloody civil war that's gone on well over 2 years, caused the deaths of more than 100,000 Syrians. It spilled into Turkey. It possibly could spill into Jordan in the south. It could spill into Lebanon, or has spilled into Lebanon, and it is a colossal mess. Now, these new charges that the UN says were created by the Bashar Assad regime are coming out now here just a few weeks before a peace conference in Geneva, Switzerland. And are we going to have more calls now back to, well, Assad has to leave? Remember, President Obama was asking for Assad to leave, to get out. So was Hillary Clinton. And then that became, well, you just need to get rid of your chemical weapons. Well, now we have new charges of atrocities. And how is that deal? How can any deal be worked out if the West is going to be asking Assad to leave, and Assad and Russia and China and Iran are going to say, no, he needs to stay? That is far from over. The Syrian civil war is far from over, where Hezbollah is fighting al-Qaeda rebels in part that are funded by the West and the U.S. This is still very much in play and very much a problem spot in the world. In the latest, Obama rolling disaster, Obamacare, I should say, rolling disaster, here's a story out of the USA Today. Now, this is hardly a hard right-wing critic of the Obama administration, but here we have it, patients thrown for a loop as doctors get dropped. I mean, so apparently you can't keep your health plan. You can't keep your doctors. It is going to be more expensive. You're going to have the website is not fixed, and according to security experts, that the website has major glaring gaping holes in security where, it can be hacked and your information could end up on somebody's credit card, or they can take money out of your account, or they can do some financial crime against you because it's your social security number, your date of birth, your entire name. I mean, and this is not secure. And actually, some security experts are saying don't go on healthcare.gov until they get it fixed, and it is not fixed. And that's just the website. We still have, millions of people so far. It's like something like 6 million policies, according to one report, where people were canceled. Well, there's more than one person on those policies. What is that, 2 or 3? What is that, 10, 12, 15 million people now are without insurance, and this website's a disaster. Of course, the Obama administration is changing the vernacular for, income inequality and immigration because, Obamacare is a disaster. And as I have predicted, and I predicted right after the government shut down, the Democrats are going to have a hard time. If this doesn't work perfectly, and I don't see how it's going to, they're going to have a hard time. On top of it, the president was out basically asking millennials to, get health insurance. And read this. I want to just hold this still for you here. It says, and I'm going to get this right here, Obama tells young Americans to act responsibly. That's rich, isn't it? To act responsibly? You mean act responsibly like you're telling everybody they can keep their health care and keep their doctors, and that the website was going to be fixed and this was going to be great, and the rollout's a disaster, and he's telling young people to buy health insurance and act responsibly? Whew, boy, that is rich. I mean, young people are young. They're not stupid. And also the Obama administration, President Obama, is slipping in the polls. And not only is he just slipping in the polls overall, he's slipping in the polls with a key group of people. Yes, millennials, young people. He's slipping in the polls, and wait until that these folks, that a large percentage of young people are not going to get Obamacare. They're going to pay the penalty. And wait until Democrats start ratcheting up these penalties on young voters. Think they'll continue to vote for Democrats? Listen, I'm not a proponent of the Republicans, but right now, the Democrats, they have a colossal problem. And I don't know, and Obama has dug his heels in this week and said he's not going to repeal it. I don't know if this gets bad enough that there'll be many Democrats in the Senate and in the House that will get together to override a veto. If this gets bad enough. You can't go into the 2014 election with 15, 20, 30 million people without insurance and then facing another, possibly one report, 80 million people could lose their insurance. I don't see how any party can survive that. And the sad thing about it isn't just the party. I don't care about the party. I care about all the people who are going to be without health care, who, the payment system in the insurance right now, if you can't pay, you don't have a policy. How many people are going to walk into a doctor or into a hospital and find out that, you don't really have, the government hasn't paid us, so you don't have health care? That's unbelievable. Finally, I want to just bring up the last story I want to bring up, and this is a big deal because I'm telling you, this isn't the first time that we've been told that America is like Detroit, right? And the judge, bankruptcy judge, a federal judge, declared that Detroit can file bankruptcy. Now, you may be wondering what's the deal with that. Well, the state of Michigan had it in their constitution where hey, you have to pay people who are on pensions. And the federal bankruptcy judge said, no. Federal law trumps state law. And yes, Detroit can file bankruptcy and pay these pensioners a lot less. Now, this is sad, folks. Shame on the politicians that promised this stuff. Shame on the union representatives, the union leaders who couldn't figure this out. And this has been a problem for a long time. In this newspaper article, let me read you what the bankruptcy judge said. I'm just going to read it. He said, Detroit could have and should have filed for bankruptcy long before it did. Everybody knew it was a problem. They knew it. This was an open, not so secret secret. You know, the union got everything they asked for and nothing they were promised. There was one guy, I think I've told you this before, wrote on USA Watchdog and said, you know, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to probably get pennies on the dollar, and he is going to get pennies on the dollar. Nothing, not near what he thought he was going to get. And also that he said a lot of the people, such as himself, opted out of Social Security. So, I mean, you go from thinking you're going to get $20 or $30 or $40,000 a year in a pension, which isn't all that much money, to $200, $300, $400, $500 a month. Instead of getting, you know, $20,000 or $30,000 a year, you're going to get, you know, $2,000 or $3,000, $4,000 a year or $5,000 a year in a pension. I mean, you're going back to work. I don't see how you survive, even if you have your house paid for. So, you know, this is a unbelievable disaster. And Lawrence Kotlikoff, you know, the professor of economics, was on USA Watchdog this week. He's sponsoring a bill, his brainchild, to put a bill in Congress to, you know, get everybody on board to put all the expenses and all the debt, you know, out in open, which is more than $200 trillion. And he said America is in worse financial shape than Detroit. Let that sink in. America is in worse financial shape than Detroit. How is it that Detroit was able to not file bankruptcy for years and years? Because they were able to borrow money. They were able to print bonds. Detroit is what it looks like when you can no longer borrow money at a cheap rate. And that's America's story if we don't fix this. I don't know if we can fix it. I don't think there's the political stomach to fix it, to say, hey, we take in, you know, 2.6 or 7 or 8 trillion and we spend, you know, 3.7 or 8 trillion a year. We got a big shortfall, $1 trillion a year. This is a sad day for America, and I think the days are going to get darker and sadder. I hope I'm wrong. Thank you for supporting USAWatchdog.com. One final mention. I wanted to acknowledge Nelson Mandela, who died, you know, this week, and you know, 95 years old. He was a great figure and a great role model, and he will be missed. Nelson Mandela, dead at 95 years of age. Again, thank you for supporting USA Watchdog with all your comments. Thank you for supporting by using the donations button. That helps us out. I'm Greg Hunter. Have a nice weekend.